let's say things as they are, without anesthesia, without beating around the bush, there is a hidden, silent reason why you feel exhausted, drained. Almost as if life is squeezing every drop of energy out of you. And it's not what you think. It's not the pending tasks. It's not the work pressure, and it's not even family problems. It's something deeper, something that has become a silent parasite in your existence. Your over-accessibility. Think about it. You're always available, always ready to respond to a message, to answer a call, to show up when you're needed. You've been trained to think that this constant availability will make you respected, loved, valued. But you know what? It's the perfect trap. It's the invisible chain that keeps you tied to emotional mediocrity. Being always accessible doesn't make you strong. It makes you a slave. The more accessible you are, the less you're valued. It's a psychological law as old as humanity itself. What is abundant is despised. What is within everyone's reach loses its mystique, its magnetism. The brutal paradox is that, in your eagerness to be accepted, you become dispensable. The more you try to be there, the less they notice you. The more you give your time, the less respect you earn. And here's where the vicious cycle begins. You give more to receive less. Let me ask you an uncomfortable question. How many times have you felt that you give everything of yourself to others and still feel empty? How many times have you burned out holding on to relationships that only exist as long as you make the effort? Those people aren't with you. They're with your availability. And the moment you set a limit, the moment you pull back a little, you'll see who truly valued your essence and who only valued your accessibility. Here begins the truth that no one wants to face. Respect is built in distance. Inner peace is found in the boundary you set with the world. It's not about locking yourself away, but about establishing a clear perimeter between your energy and external demands. People respect those who respect their own time. They admire those who can say no firmly, those who aren't afraid to disappoint others by not satisfying every whim. Human psychology is woven with this paradox. We desire what we cannot have. The unreachable obsesses us, attracts us like an uncontrollable magnet. When you become that person who is not always within reach, who prioritizes their peace over external validation, your presence becomes magnetic. Your silence speaks louder than 1,000 words. Your absence is felt more than any forced presence. And here is the point that disarms all excuses. Your need for external approval is your greatest weakness. As long as you live hungry for validation from others, you'll continue to be an emotional slave. Every glance, every ignored message, every gesture of indifference will hit you like an invisible punch. But the moment you understand that your worth doesn't depend on that glance, doesn't depend on that message, something inside you changes forever. True strength lies in the ability to be alone without feeling lonely, in being your own source of validation, in enjoying silence, not as an absence, but as a full presence. Those who master silence master interaction. Those who aren't afraid of being alone become invincible in company. I want you to engrave this in your mind. Overexposure wears you out. Over-accessibility dilutes your essence. Being available to everyone is being absent from yourself. Every yes you give to the outside world is a no you give to yourself. And do you know what happens when you live on autopilot, pleasing everyone? You empty yourself. You slowly extinguish. You become an echo of what you could have been. Freedom begins when you understand that you don't have to respond immediately, that you don't have to justify every silence. Freedom begins when you stop asking for permission to prioritize your peace. Because peace, that peace you so desperately seek, doesn't come from others' approval. It comes from the respect you give yourself. Look around you. Observe the people you respect the most. They aren't the ones who wear themselves out trying to please everyone. They are the ones who stand firm in their boundaries, who aren't afraid to disappoint, who know that genuine respect comes from authenticity, not constant complacency. Being selective with your relationships isn't selfishness, it's emotional survival. You can't build a full life if you're surrounded by people who only reach out when they need something. Learn to identify emotional drainers, those who only show up to drain your energy and disappear when there's nothing left to take. Don't be afraid to close doors. Closed doors free up space for the ones that truly matter. Deep connections require space. They require fertile ground, which can only be achieved when you stop watering toxic relationships. Remember, you're not obligated to maintain connections that drain your energy. You owe no one an explanation for protecting your peace. Self-control is your hidden superpower, the ability to pause before reacting, to reflect before responding, to consciously choose which battles to fight. Most people are slaves to their impulses. They react without thinking. They respond without filtering. But not you. You can choose silence when everyone is shouting. You can choose calm when everyone is desperate. In deep psychology, this self-control is called internal sovereignty. It's the ability to govern yourself above external storms. When you cultivate this sovereignty, the outside world loses its power over you. The opinions of others become distant whispers. Social pressure dissolves like mist under the sun of your determination. Allow yourself to disappear from the scene when you need to. Don't explain your absence. Don't justify your withdrawal. Mystery is a powerful ally. People fear what they don't understand. They respect what they can't predict. Don't give them all the answers. Let them wonder, let them be intrigued, let them imagine. In that space of uncertainty, true respect is born. True influence is not exerted by shouting louder, but by controlling access to your energy. You don't have to be everywhere. You don't have to respond to every message, attend every event, be part of every conversation. In fact, the more selective you are, the more value each of your presences has. Make silence your secret language. Let your actions speak when words wear thin. Make your absence a statement of principles. Remember that the energy you conserve today is the strength you will need tomorrow to build your true legacy. Social pressure is an illusion maintained by collective fear. Everyone fears being excluded, forgotten, ignored. But the moment you break that illusion, you become a magnetic anomaly. People can't help but be drawn to those who walk outside the herd. Because deep down, everyone desires that freedom, but few dare to claim it. Today, I'm proposing something radical. Take a step back. Observe the chaos from a distance. Preserve your energy like a strategist preparing your next move. Don't give your peace to anyone who knocks on your door. Select wisely who deserves your time, your space, your essence. True victory in life is not being remembered by everyone, but being remembered by those who truly matter. It's not about filling every hole in your schedule, but filling every moment of your existence with purpose. Quality always outweighs quantity. True respect is not begged for, it is cultivated from personal integrity. Remember, you are not a 24-hour service line. You're not here to be the emotional lifeline for everyone who is drowning. You're here to build yourself, to protect your peace as the invaluable treasure it is. Because at the end of the day, the only approval that really matters is the one you give yourself. Walk with this certainty. Your energy is limited, your time is finite, your peace is sacred. Protect them like the guardian who defends the last fortress. Because in that protection lies your true freedom, and in that freedom, your true strength. Now tell me, are you willing to pay the price for your peace, or will you continue mortgaging your soul for the approval of a world that will never be satisfied? The choice, as always, is yours. And here's where I want you to pay close attention, because we're about to dive into an even deeper, more subtle territory, but absolutely connected to everything I've just told you. If we were talking before about setting boundaries and protecting your peace, now we're going to talk about something most people never understand: the quality of your solitude. I don't mean solitude as punishment, nor as a consequence of distancing yourself from others, but as a tool for personal construction, as a silent laboratory where you forge the best version of yourself, far from the noise of the world. Most people fear being alone because, in the silence of solitude, the voices they've been avoiding resonate. People fill their lives with noise, with occupations, with external validations, not because those things are necessary, but because they fear facing the most difficult conversation of all, the one they have with themselves. Over-accessibility not only manifests toward others, it's also a distraction that takes you away from your own inner dialogue. You're so available to others that you disconnect from your own compass. The brutal irony is this: only when you dare to be alone do you truly stop feeling lonely. Because true loneliness is not the absence of external company, it's the absence of internal company. And here's where most people collapse. They don't know who they are without the reflection of others. They've built their identity around how they're seen, how they're validated, how they're accepted. But when you cut those strings, when you're left alone with your thoughts, you discover something essential. If you can't stand your own company, why do you expect others to value it? Look, truly magnetic people, those who without saying a word radiate an almost hypnotic strength, are the ones who have learned to love themselves in silence. They are the ones who have turned their solitude into a sanctuary, not a cell. They don't need validation because they've already validated themselves. They don't seek constant company because they're already balanced with their own inner harmony. And here's one of the most powerful keys on this path. When you make yourself inaccessible to others strategically, you gain full access to yourself. You change empty conversations for deep reflections. You change fleeting validation for genuine self-awareness. You become unshakable, not because the world has become kinder, but because you've become unbreakable. But there's more, much more. Because when you start walking this path, you realize something else no one tells you. Your silence becomes a natural filter. Without you saying anything, people start revealing themselves. Those who only approached for their own interest disappear, and those who truly value your essence stay. It's brutal, almost poetic. Your mere absence exposes the true intentions of the people around you. Do you know what that means? You stop wasting time. You stop investing energy in relationships that were doomed from the start. Because now it's not you who seeks, it's the world that starts seeking you. And not because you're begging for attention, but because your energy has become so rare, so genuine, that it inevitably attracts. But there's one more dimension I want you to understand. Beyond well-managed solitude, beyond healthy boundaries, there's a psychological principle few people apply: the anticipation of value. That is, When people don't have immediate access to you, they begin to build a mental image of your value that curiously grows with the wait. Waiting feeds the imagination, and imagination sows respect. What's scarce becomes desired, what's reserved becomes revered. Look, this isn't empty theory. This is pure psychology. Think about anything you deeply desire. Almost always it's something that's not within reach, something that requires time, patience, effort. And what happens when you finally get it? You value it more. Now apply that to yourself. When you stop being available at every moment, when you take care of your space, when you intelligently choose where to place your presence, you elevate your value in the eyes of others, but more importantly, in your own. And here comes something very few dare to do. You have to learn to enjoy the art of waiting. Not just making others wait for you, but you yourself savoring the delay of rewards, genuine connections, true opportunities. Because when you chase everything that shines, you miss what truly illuminates. The one who is patient is not only strong, they are strategic. Because they understand that the best things in life don't come to the first one who chases them, but to the one who knows how to wait for the perfect moment to catch them. Patience combined with selectivity is pure dynamite. It's not about closing every door. It's about opening only the ones that truly lead to a worthwhile place. And trust me, this simple shift in focus completely transforms your relationship with the world. You go from being a reactive person, living to the rhythm of external demands, to being a proactive person, setting your own pace. True emotional autonomy is not about not needing anyone, it's about not depending on anyone. It's very different. Human relationships are important, of course, but they're only healthy when born of freedom, not need. And freedom is only achieved when you're willing to lose superficial connections to gain depth in your life. Now I want you to ask yourself something with brutal honesty. How many of the relationships that surround you today exist only because you're always available? How many of those connections would hold up if you stopped responding immediately? If you prioritized your space, your time, your energy? The answer will probably make you uncomfortable, and that's good. Because that discomfort is the door to real change. Stopping being accessible to everyone doesn't make you insensitive, it makes you aware. It allows you to channel your energy toward the people, projects, and experiences that truly deserve your investment. Because your energy is limited? Don't forget that. And wasting it is a luxury you can't afford if you want to build a full, authentic, and truly free life. So here's my challenge for you. Start removing your pieces from the board, strategically. Let people feel your absence. Let the world notice the void you leave when you choose to prioritize yourself. Because only then will you understand a simple but powerful truth. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is full of answers. And when you embrace this truth, when you truly feel it in every decision you make, in every relationship you choose to keep or leave behind, you'll discover something that changes the game completely. You'll discover that you don't need to be everywhere to be unforgettable. That you don't have to always be present to be deeply respected. That, at the end of the road, true presence is not measured in quantity, but in quality. Now tell me, are you ready to turn your silence into your most powerful weapon? Are you ready for your absence to speak louder than your presence? Because when you do, when you cross that threshold, I promise you will never look back. And the world, I guarantee you, won't look at you the same way either. But wait, don't stop just yet. Because there's one more thing you need to understand if you truly want to master this invisible game. The relationship between your energy and your perceived identity. This concept is brutally ignored, but it's the one that marks the difference between those who are swept along by the current and those who dominate it from the shore. Look, every time you give your energy away uncontrollably, you not only wear yourself out physically, but you also dilute the perception others have of you. Yes, what you project is not just what you say or do, but the quality of your energy, the direction you give it. Think about anyone you consider magnetic. It's not that they're talking all the time. It's not that they're constantly exposed. It's that when they do, their energy is strong, clear, powerful. Do you know why? Because they protect it. Because they treat it as the non-renewable resource it is. Most people live as though their energy is infinite, but it's not. It gets wasted in pointless conversations, in worries that lead nowhere, in connections that bring nothing but a fleeting emotional placebo. And this brings us to another critical point: emotional economy. No one talks to you about this, but your energy is like currency. You decide where to invest it. The curious thing is that, like any economy, if you waste your resources, you end up in emotional bankruptcy. You start to feel that life is heavy, that decisions overwhelm you, that any minimal external demand leaves you exhausted. Why? Because you've spent years funding deficit relationships, giving attention that doesn't return value, seeking validation that evaporates as soon as you get it. The modern world is a silent energy devourer. Social media, constant notifications, addiction to immediacy, to instant responses, to false digital connection. All of this makes you a free energy provider for systems that will never give back what you give. It's as if you had an open bank account for the public, where anyone can come and take your vital balance without permission. And every withdrawal, every small withdrawal you allow, takes you further away from your center. That's why people who preserve their mystery, who manage their time masterfully, seem to always be charged with magnetic energy. Not because they do more, but because they do less, but intentionally. They don't waste their vital resources. They don't crawl for external validation. They don't dissolve into the sea of over-accessibility. And here we get into a topic that's pure dynamite: self-exploitation disguised as productivity. This is one of the most dangerous deceptions out there. We think that by being busy we're advancing, that by filling every minute of our agenda, we're getting closer to excellence. But the reality is that we're just disguising emotional dependency as productivity. We fill ourselves with activities because we can't stand being silent with ourselves. We fill every void to avoid internal confrontation. Let me make this clear. Being busy is not the same as being in motion. You can spend your entire life running in circles inside the cage of social acceptance and never move an inch toward your true freedom. Being selective is not just with people, it's also with activities, with the thoughts you allow in, with the goals you decide to pursue. I want you to think about this as a silent purge. Start eliminating from your life not only the people who drain your energy, but also the tasks, distractions, self-imposed obligations that only exist to fill artificial voids. Your focus is your most precious asset, and wherever you place your focus, that's where your entire life will be. And no, it's not about building a life devoid of stimuli. It's about building a life full of meaning, full of relationships that nurture, projects that ignite your purpose, moments that don't need to be shared to have value, full of silences that speak louder than 1,000 empty conversations. Now, let's go even deeper. Narrative autonomy. This concept is absolutely essential. It's about stopping living inside the narrative that others have built for you. Every time you agree to be available for everyone, every time you give away your time without questioning it, you're living inside someone else's story. You're playing a supporting role in a script you didn't write. But when you take back your time, your space, your energy, you also take back the pen that writes your story. And believe me, there's no greater power than that. When you control your narrative, external circumstances matter less. You no longer live reacting to what the world expects from you. You start moving under your own terms, at your own rhythm. Your story is no longer defined by external acceptance, but by internal coherence. The peace that arises from this autonomy is indescribable. It's the peace of knowing that even though the world spins chaotically around you, you have absolute control of your journey. And I assure you something, that peace is priceless. There is no external validation that compares, no applause that can replace it. It's the peace of having built a solid existence without cracks that doesn't depend on the volatility of others' opinions or the tyranny of immediacy. So listen carefully to these words. When you stop being a slave to others' narrative, when you become the author of your own story, you'll discover that the freedom you've been seeking wasn't outside of you. It was always inside, waiting for you to stop filling your life with noise to hear it clearly. And here, right here, is where your real path begins. Not when everyone applauds you, not when everyone follows you, not when you fill yourself with superficial recognition. It begins the exact moment you decide to walk alone, not because you lack company, but because you no longer depend on it. It begins when you make silence your ally, patience your strategy, and selectivity your shield. Because in the end, the real revolution is not external. The real revolution happens within you, in that sacred moment when you choose to stop being a slave to over-accessibility and become the absolute owner of your time, your energy, your life. And just when you think you've understood it all, the final layer of this uncomfortable truth appears. Listen carefully, because this is where everything fits together. What truly differentiates people who move with sovereignty in life is not only that they control their time, their energy, their relationships, it's that they master something even more subtle. The art of strategic scarcity. Yes, you heard right. Everything that is scarce becomes valuable. But it's not about pretending to be scarce. It's not about playing hard to get as a cheap manipulation strategy. It's about becoming a person so complete within yourself that you naturally become selective with your energy. It's about your time not being scarce by pose, but because it is genuinely reserved for what truly matters. Authentic scarcity cannot be faked, and people perceive it immediately. They sense that you're not acting to impress, but living in alignment with your own principles. And that, my friend, is magnetic in a way words can't explain. Because in the end, true influence isn't the one you seek, it's the one that's generated as an inevitable consequence of living with radical authenticity. Let me give you a brutal example. Think of great thinkers, silent leaders, creators who revolutionized the world. None of them were begging for attention. None of them had their agenda open for anyone. Their time was limited, their appearances were few, but every time they showed up, they left an indelible mark. And not because they spoke louder than anyone else, but because they spoke when they truly had something to say. Here's the last piece of the puzzle. Your value is not measured by how many times you show up, but by the mark you leave when you do. People quickly get used to what's abundant. Overexposure wears you out. But the right dose of mystery, well-calibrated absence, measured presence, that builds an image that's not easily forgotten. It's like the echo of a great phrase. You don't need to repeat it 1,000 times for it to resonate forever. And here, I want to take you to one final reflection that you probably never considered. Your entire life is your signature. Every decision you make, every space you defend, every silence you choose, every no you pronounce, everything leaves a mark. Everything says something about you even when you say nothing, especially when you say nothing. So now close your eyes for a second and think, if you disappeared completely today, what echo would you leave behind? Would you be remembered for the amount of noise you made, or for the depth of your presence? Because the answer to that question not only defines your influence, it defines your entire legacy. That's why, if this video has moved you, if something you've heard has resonated within you like a silent thunder, I invite you to do more than just reflect. I invite you to act, to start today, not tomorrow, to set real boundaries, to protect your energy as the sacred resource it is, to remove your pieces from the noise board and start playing your own game. And if you've made it this far in the video, because I know if you're still here, it's because there's a spark inside you that refuses to go out, I want to ask you one special thing. Leave the following phrase in the comments as a secret code between those of us who understand what this is all about. Write, "My silence will be my power." Let it stand as a silent mark between us, a sign that you're not part of the mass that dissolves into the noise, but part of the select group that has decided to take back control. And of course, if you want us to keep exploring these uncomfortable truths, these hidden paths to a freer, deeper, more authentic life, subscribe. Not to inflate empty numbers, but so you don't miss the next pieces of this puzzle we're building together. Because we're not here to entertain the noise, we're here to build silences that will resonate for years. Now, before you go, let me say goodbye to you in a different way. I'm not going to say a simple goodbye. I'm going to leave you with one last question that, if you let it mature within you, will change your perception forever. What would happen if tomorrow the world completely forgot about you? Would you still walk with the same determination? Think about it. Savor the vertigo of that question. And when you have the answer, don't say it out loud. Keep it as a secret, as a silent weapon. Because remember, the most lethal weapon is not the one that is shown, but the one that remains hidden until it's necessary. See you in the next video. Or rather, maybe you won't see me, but you'll feel my echo. Because true impact doesn't disappear with absence, it multiplies.